Welcome to MrCScience.com's video on experiment 1.2, microscopes. In this course we're going to use microscopes quite a bit, especially the first semester. We won't really hit dissections until we're halfway through the book. So microscopes, so we need to know how to handle and use a microscope. If you're in one of my classes, it works there. If you have a microscope at home you're playing with, great. Otherwise, it's just a valuable piece of information to learn if you're going on to college and do any biological sciences. So let's take a look at our microscope. Here I have a standard microscope. We're going to go through the different parts first. If you want to follow along, I'm on page 30 of the biology textbook. At the very top is the eyepiece. The eyepiece portion that you look through, my eyepiece comes off because I have a microscope camera here that I'm going to use to show what we're looking at. So that's the piece you look through. If you look, I wonder if you can see it here. In there you see a little line. That line is a pointer, and that pointer will appear on all your slides when you look through it, so you can use that to point out things to other people. With my camera it will not have the pointer, so we won't see that. So that eyepiece goes into the tube here, the body tube, works its way into the head, into the objectives. There are 3 objectives here. The shortest one, the low power, yellow, the medium, and then finally the green, the high power. If we look at that, let's look at our eyepiece. Our eyepiece has written on it on the side 10 times. So when you look through at things through this eyepiece, it makes it 10 times larger than it was before. Our small low power objective says 4 times. So 4 times 10 is 40 times. So anything we look through the low power objective will be 40 times. Our medium power objective says 10. So 10 times 10, or anything we look at through there, will be magnified 100 times. And then finally our high power is 40. So 40 times 10 will be magnified 400 times larger than it really is. So that allows us to see microscopic organisms. When you start with the microscope, the lower power objective should be down. Under the objective is the stage. This is the part you move up and down to focus. You've got 2 different knobs. The large, or coarse adjustment, moves the stage a lot. If you have the high power down when you're doing this, you run the risk of slamming the stage into the objective and damaging it. So that's why we always start with the low power down. Under that, you notice how easy how much it turns. Now if I use a small knob underneath, the fine power, you can barely or maybe not even see it move as I twist that knob. If I twist it a lot, then I shake everything, so that's not a good thing to do. So, okay. So, coarse objective, fine objective. Couple things on the stage. One, we have a slide holder, a mechanical slide holder. Allows us to put our slide in, and we've got knobs on the side that move it up and down and back and forth. That can be very useful. Some microscopes don't have that. They just have clips there, and you have to use your thumbs to move it around as you go. Underneath in the front is the diaphragm. It's a little knob. I took that out because I'm going to lift this up and show you the bottom of the microscope. So this wheel here is the diaphragm and all these holes. The larger the hole, the more the light lets through. The smaller the hole, the less light it lets through. If I've got it on 5 right now and the largest hole is lined up, so 5 allows the most light through. If I go to 1, that's a tiny little hole, and that's the least amount of light going through. Why you want to do that is the more light you send through, the more color you get. The less light you send through, the more definition you get. There's times when you're looking for color, especially on prepared slides. Then there's times when you're looking for definition to see what you're looking at, see more of the grain. So, okay. Underneath is the light source. This light source has a big black metal piece around it, which is called the heat sink. because this uses old-fashioned incandescent light bulbs, which give off in the infrared and thus heat up. So if you have it on a long time, this heatsink can get hot. If you have a microscope like this, just be careful once you're putting it away. If you've had it on for a long time, that can get warm. So turn on the light. Oop, there you go. Okay, we're going to look at a slide of some, I've got some red thread here. So I cut a piece of the red thread. We're going to create a wet slide with the thread using a slide and a cover slip. Cover slip is a very, geez, you can't even see it, very thin piece of glass. When you're cleaning, won't be too uncommon to break these. If you end up breaking one, just make sure all the pieces ended up in the garbage, because the edges can be a little sharp. So neither the slide or the cover slip are very expensive at all, so don't feel bad if you break one or two. I rarely break slides, but we break cover slips a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to lay it across about the center of my slide, then I'm going to take my water and my eyedropper, and I'm going to put a big drop of water on there, right in the middle. The water kind of holds it, acts as kind of make everything a little more optically stable, what you're looking at, although you will notice sometimes you get bubbles. We'll slip the cover slide on there, and we've got right across the center, I don't know how well you can see it, our thread on our slide. We're going to put that on our holder here. Again, our stage is all the way down, our low power objective is on. I'm going to turn on the light now so you can see. I'm going to take my objective off, place it safely where it won't roll off the table, and I'm going to put my camera in. Okay, so let's take a look at the camera. So right now nothing's in focus. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our course adjustment. You're going to have to go pretty much all the way to the top in order to get it into focus. It'll be somewhere around here. So I'll switch back to our camera. So as I bring her in focus, there we go. So we can see some stuff. Now what we see isn't the string, we see some bubbles. So I'm going to move a little bit. Oops, there's our string. Yeah, like how nice and smooth the string looked, and now you look on here and it's all frazzled. And color isn't coming through great, but that happens. But you can kind of see, the pink around the edges here. So this is low power. So what we do is we get it in focus under low power. So let's make sure. Oh, there is a good focus. So you can almost see through some of the strings, some of the stuff here right now. So and then you can see some bubbles, these little round things. Often I'll say, hey, Mr. C, what's that big round thing right there? Because it looks kind of grainy once you get higher. That's a bubble. So you'll see those a lot. So usually if it's round, it's either a Volvox or a bubble. So okay, so now what we want to do is we want to make sure that what we want to look at is in the center of our screen here. So my screen is what, about 2 ticks over 1000, so it'd be about 1 tick. So yeah, right about there. So because when I go to my next power, it's going to zoom in, and we're only going to see this much of it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to our medium power. Now as long as it's in focus, it should be almost in focus here. So there we go, we're almost in focus. Now we're going to use a fine adjustment and bring her in focus. Oh, I think it went the wrong way. Hang on. There we go. Now we're coming into focus. Okay, so we got a closer look at the string, and now what's interesting is we're getting to the point where you can focus on the top or you can focus through it. Now we're kind of in the middle where you can see all this, but you don't see the stringy stuff on here quite as well. But that looks good. I'm going to move it a little bit, so we're going to kind of concentrate on this area down here. Oh, wrong way. There we go. That caused my light to jump a little bit. Okay, so as long as we got it in focus, now we go to our high power. So here, I'm going to flip back to here. So I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to go this way. So you can see that high power objective gets right on top of the slide. It looks like it's going to actually hit the slide as you go through. But if you're in focus, it will not hit that slide. If you're not in focus, then you run the risk of running into the slide. So if you're in medium power and you lost your focus, go back to, or if you're in high power and lose your focus, go back to the very beginning. Go back to your low power and start focusing again. Let's go to our camera. There we go. So we're just a little bit out of focus, so we're going to use our fine adjustment. If you go one way, see how it got a little more grainy? So I'm going to go the other way. And you don't have to turn a lot. And we're going to start bringing it into focus. There we go. So now we're seeing some of those individual threads in that red thread. And I believe, let's see what it says. What is this thread? It is polyester. Guess what polyester is? Polyester is plastic. So because it is plastic, it's smooth. You got some nice smooth threads here. If this were cotton thread or something like that, it would be a little more rough and things like that. Now we could look at a bunch of other things here. I kind of wanted to give you just a quick overview of what the microscope looks like. We're going to do some other work. Hey, maybe we can look at a prepared slide quick. I've got all kinds of prepared slides. Here's one we really won't, we might use it later. But it's Pine Life History. So I'm going to now, here, let's go back to here. So we've looked at our slide. We've generally what we'll do in classes, we'll look at the slides, we'll draw and label what we see. Now I won't grade you on your drawing skills, I will grade you on your labeling skills, so label what you see. So let's go back to our camera here, there we go. Okay, so when you remove a slide, first thing you want to do is put the low power objective down. That's because the next thing you want to do is put the stage all the way down. If you have a high power and you do the stage down first, if you pick the wrong direction, you can slam it into the stage. Or you slam the stage into the objective. So I brought the stage all the way down now. Then you can go ahead and turn off our light, although we'll be putting another slide right on, and remove the cover slip, or remove the slide. This will run to the bathroom quick, rinse, dry, bring back. Pretty simple. So, but let's take a look. I've got a Pine Life History here. If you look close, let's see how well we can see it. You got just some different cross sections of small cones and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on our thing again. We're in low power. Our stage is all the way down. So now we're going to bring it into focus using our coarse adjustment. You're going to have to go almost all the way up. So if I go back to here, everything looks very black because I have not turned on my light. There we go. Turn on the light. There we go. Now we got the kind of yellowy orange. So now we work our way up and we come into focus. Now we're a little short. Sometimes you gotta use the fine adjustment to bring it just a little bit more. Okay, we're coming. We're almost there. There we go. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a cross section of a cone. If we move around, there's a cone cross section. Here's those little fans and seeds that you can see in the cone. Here's the center of the cone. So here we'll notice that everything is colored. So we got lots of different colors, usually reds, sometimes blues, occasionally yellows, and there we go. Okay, so let's pick a part that looks kind of interesting. So let's go right here. Let's see what these little dots look like. So right now we're at low power, which is 4 times 10 or 40 times magnification. So we are in focus right now. So now if we go to our medium power, or here, let's let it freak out for a second. Okay, so if we go back here, so we're on our low power right now. I'm going to go to my medium power. Again, we wanted to make sure that what we had in focus was in the center. So if I go back to my thing, so now we're a little out of focus. So turn one way, it gets blurry, so go the other way. Seems like I always pick the wrong direction. But now we should be able to bring it into focus. Okay, now we're seeing some detail here. Oh, that was interesting. There we go. We're seeing some dots here. Those dots are usually nuclei, so we'll see if that's nuclei. In fact, we might have some mitosis going on. A little preview. Okay, so let's find one that looks kind of interesting. Let's look right in here. We got something interesting here. So I'm going to move that down. Oh, unless I go the wrong way. Sometimes a slide holder, I think it was down here. Oh, here. There's an interesting one. Let's get that about the center. Oops. Oh, here. We'll go right here. Okay, so then we're going to go to high power. Again, it'll look like it's going to hit the slide, but if you're in focus, there we go. Okay, so now let's bring her into focus. I get some interesting light adjustments as the software tries to figure this out. Okay, so into here you're seeing individual seeds of the pine cone. So these are little, we're seeing the nucleus, and they stain the nuclear material inside of there. Let's wander a little bit slowly. You gotta go slow with this stuff. Yep, so here's more nuclear material. So you can wander around, look, see what you got. If you want to back off and look for something new to look at, just go back to low power. You should be very finely, usually you're pretty finely adjusted. I think there's something about this low power. Maybe it's not screwed in all the way. I'll check that later. Okay, so now let's wander around and say, hey, is there something more interesting to look at? So we've got some more cone type things. Oh, look at that. We got a big old, this is probably a seed right there. So let's get that towards the center, because remember when you zoom in, if I zoomed in right now, this would be the center when we wouldn't see where we're looking. So there we go, we got it. So now let's go to medium power. It's in focus. Now it'll just be a little bit out of focus. So we'll bring it into focus using that fine adjustment. Only use the coarse adjustment on low power. Although medium, I don't know that you can hit it either. So if you're way off and you want to use the coarse adjustment on medium, you probably can, but never on the high power. Okay, so yeah, looks like we got a little bit of a seed here. That's kind of in the center. We're actually kind of centered right around here. Let's center this. That looks kind of, oops. Ah. If I lose it entirely, there we go. Okay, so I want to center on that. Wrong way. One nice thing when you use your fingers is you can kind of tell where it's going, although everything's reversed. Okay, so we're kind of centered in there. Let's go to our high power. We're a little out of focus. Nope, wrong way. We're getting a little more out of focus. Okay, and there we can kind of see individual cells. Some of them are squashed as they're forming different, as they're differentiating into different parts. But so this is a prepared slide. That's what it looks like. So let's go ahead and take it off. So let's go here. So again, when we remove a slide, first thing we want to do is put it on low power. So that low power objective's down, so we don't run the risk of slamming our stage or our slide into our objective. Now we put it all the way down. We're done. We can turn off the light. Now we can remove our slide safely without damaging the objectives. So, and that is the microscope. You're going to see a lot more of this as we look at many prepared slides of different microorganisms as we move into Monera. Bacteria is a little harder to see. We need even higher powered microscopes, but you can see a little bit. And then Protista Monera. So then the eukaryotes, when we get into those, they're much larger and a lot more interesting stuff. So again, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to drop me a line at mrc@mrcscience.com. Thanks.